Pascal Guyon is a multi-platinum music producer. He's contributed to 3 Grammy nominations, sold over 15 million records across the world, and is a leading influencer in music blockchain technology. Welcome to the show, Pascal.
Thank you for having me.
Pascal, you've achieved tremendous success, and it all started on MySpace. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, it's actually pretty simple. I was stuck in my French countryside, and I was admiring music producers from the US, obviously. So I wanted to find a way to work with them and ideally to actually move to the US and be part of that. So I only have internet, So at the time, MySpace was really hot. That was the hot social media. So I made sure that, first of all, I was really good at what I was doing. So that meant practicing the piano 10 hours a day, doing videos about it. So I had actually on my MySpace page videos of me playing salsa music, very advanced stuff. So when people see that, they're not used to see that. So that was a good eye-catching thing. And also I had tracks. In parallel, I had music tracks like hip-hop stuff and things. So people are like, well, is he doing salsa or is he doing hip-hop? I'm like, I want to do both. What's the problem? So yes, I used that. We also used a very unique picture on my MySpace page, which was very eye-catching as well. But on top of that, I was using softwares that was allowing me to maximize my visibility online. So I was very, very aggressive. I was able to message, comment to a lot of pages, contact with a lot of people. And that led me to get actually my first really big placement with music stars outside of France.
Pascal, talk about your early inspiration, like when you first laid eyes on the piano. What was going on during that time? Like, do you come from a musical background? Take us through those first early years.
So the early years were actually really early. My parents found me putting the radio on and just using my really small instruments and trying to play along with the radio. So that's how it started. And then I wanted to be more serious about it, but like 10 years later, so I was a teenager. So I started to get actually classical piano lessons, and I got my graduations extremely quickly. But it's really started with radio and me being really attracted sonically to some of the songs. And I was like, oh, that's a hit. That's a hit, it's a good one. That's it.
Wow. So classically trained.
Yes.
And then later on you went to like Latin, Cuban kind
and
of
jazz as well.
genre.
Yeah, it was actually all in parallel. I was around 15, 16 years old. So I was studying definitely jazz and classical at the same time. So classical music was the regular stuff. I had a teacher, I was going to school, and very regular things. For jazz, I was actually going to workshops. So I was traveling, so different part of France. And yeah, I was getting mentored by the top jazz players in Europe, basically. And then when I was 20, 21, I ended up in Cuba with my mentor for Cuban music, and I ended up actually being invited to play on stage with one of the top salsa bands in Cuba called Bamboleo. One of my mentors was Carlos El Bola Betancourt. He was one of the most influential trumpet player and music director in Cuba. And he passed away, unfortunately. But that was an incredible time, and certainly my best memory music-wise, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, because music in Cuba, it's so raw, it's so true, it's so intense. The thing is, it's hard to find that kind of depth in just pop music.
For sure. And with those jazz legends, that's a dream come true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, and the thing is, when you spend just a week with that kind of person, they have huge charisma, they are incredible musicians. You go back home, you're inspired for years or a lifetime. I constantly think about them,
Man, I remember seeing you on YouTube smoking the piano. I think there was like a few Latin jams that you were jamming.
It's funny because actually if you check me on YouTube, my advanced salsa piano videos are number 6 most viewed in that style, because you have the salsa music and then the timba music, which appeared in the 90s, which is just salsa but more modern. And for that stuff, I really developed a specialty in that, and I started to compose and produce in that style of music, actually.
Pascal, what's the most fun piece to play on the piano for you? Any genre?
I would say Latin music because they say that the piano is a tuned drum. And you saw videos of salsa piano, it's pretty much you're hitting the thing just like you would play drums. But you have to know where you put the fingers. But that's how they see it. So it's a tuned drum. So you're really participating in the groove of these songs. The goal of that type of music is to make people dance. That's all.
Yes.
That's all.
I love that.
They start creating the songs by finding the hook. And they can spend a lot of time on finding a really good hook. So there's some funny examples on YouTube. You see like Cuban songwriters, they're just like bored, just like us right now on a seat and thinking like, oh, let me find a good hook. And suddenly they find something and they're like, that's it, boom, that's the song. And then they build around that. But the goal is to find a hook that will drive people crazy on the dance floor.
Nice.
That's it.
I love that. I love the energy, especially in Latin music.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Pascal, fast forward to, say, your first week here in the US. Let's talk about Walter Afanasieff.
Oh, sure.
One of my songwriting heroes.
Legend.
And you got a chance to be involved with Leona Lewis on that track, Here I Am.
Sure.
Take us back to that story.
Oh yeah, well, okay, I don't know. How much time do you have? Okay, so, I wanted to be in the United States really bad. And the great thing is that there's some people who helped me to move here. Not only to move here, but introduce me to some of the most legendary music people, period. And so yes, I ended up being invited by Walter and Chris Ivory, who is a music executive. And my first month in LA was a complete movie because on the first week, Walter was finishing producing a song for Leona Lewis. And he told me, hey, take it, what would you do? I was like,
wow, really?
Yeah, so I took the thing and I participated to the arrangement. I added some parts here and there. That was somewhat a small contribution, but still my first contribution, my first week in the US. That's exactly how it happened, And then the second week, that's when I got introduced to Heavy D and we made some music for Anthony Hamilton. That was my first 2 weeks in LA, which is crazy because these two albums got like 3 Grammy nominations. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a dream come true. I mean, these guys are legends.
Yeah.
Heavy D, Walter Afanasieff, and many more.
Especially, for a French guy who grew up between 2 cows and 1 chicken, it's pretty good.
Wow. You're a mentor for artists, musicians, songwriters, and business owners. You also help them with their social media presence. Talk about how important it is for an artist to have a strong social media presence today.
Sure. Well, I just actually start by using my story because this is how I was able to leave France, a small village in France, and come to Hollywood, make it all the way to the Grammys, then to work with some super famous like technology projects and stuff like that. And it's all based on social media. So the thing is, it's developing an edge to have maximum visibility because that's a problem with artists. There is probably hundreds of thousands of artists who are incredible, but they don't know how to structure their business or to maximize their visibility. So if nobody knows about you, there's probably no point that you try to build a career. People have to know, right? So for me, I used it. I was like, okay, I'm stuck somewhere. I need to make sure that people know me. What do I do? Well, what's the hot social media? Because if I stay in my village, I will be working people within my village. If I get on internet and put myself out there, well, I can connect with pretty much anybody. And that's really the story of my life, So for me, it started on MySpace, and then I switched around to Twitter and Instagram. My following is mostly on Twitter, but basically, it's all about finding what can work for you, and you'll see that for some reason, your Instagram is gonna pick up, or Twitter is gonna pick up, and then it's all about hammering that thing to make the most out of it, And since that's a mistake that artists make. They still think nowadays they want a manager, they want a publisher, they want a label. Yeah. Well, if you are in that mindset, you will probably not do anything in your life. because it's all about actually you building your thing. There's a famous trader in the UK that says that globally, if you don't become an entrepreneur, you will never be able financially to retire. Globally, I'm not even talking about music, it's global. So if you just think music, if you want to sign a publishing deal or that kind of stuff, there's no money. Why would you do that? And on top of that, publishers don't, most of the time, don't actually do that much for you, you know? So there's really no point. If you wait on these people, nothing, 99% of the time, nothing will happen. The people who helped me the most for my career, my music career, were not in music.
Interesting.
Hell yeah, wow. That's it. So no, people who helped me the most were just extremely brilliant and highly connected. And because I had good relationship with them, thanks to them, they helped me. And I was able to bypass all the BS, all the politics, managers, publishers, and I had access to pretty much anybody I wanted to, and still to this day, you know. So that's why social media, communicating on your skills, you can do anything you want. The one thing I also say is that people come to LA as an actor or musician thinking that it's going to be the solution to their problem. Yeah. And most of the time, it leads to nothing. It's a failure. I remind people that I was in my village in France and still managed to get songs with some of the biggest stars worldwide. You don't need to be here to do that. So that's a wrong kind of mindset. But I did it by using social media, and I keep doing it. And for me, it's a great way to connect with people you would have never connected with, and that can make a huge change in your life. My sponsor for my visa for immigration were people from Atlanta that I never met, but they liked me and they helped me, and that's it. So that makes all the difference in the world.
Wow, so true, so powerful, and we love that about you. You know, your energy, and that you're a people person, and that you're connecting, and through social media. So many benefits.
For everybody
that we can get. You know, Pascal, there's a kid somewhere in this world, you know, in an obscure village that wants to be like you. What advice can you give them?
Two things. Be insanely good at whatever you do. Not average, but incredibly good. And then communicate. Means every day you do at least one video and you put it out there. And you study the social media actually. How can you make the most out of it? From that point, sky is the limit.
How can the blockchain technology help musicians today?
Yeah, so that's a big one. So basically, blockchain is just a trust system, and that allows to get rid of third party, basically. So the biggest problem with music creators is that for a very long time, we had to rely on different people to get our rights, basically. And that can be extremely annoying because if you think about it, if you have a song streaming in Japan right now and using the regular things, you're gonna wait 3 years to maybe receive sub pennies for it. So nobody's happy about it. Musicians are not happy about it, of course. The thing is, right now, nowadays, as we speak, you can already use something that will allow you to upload music. And whenever somebody presses play on internet, wherever they are in the world, you are paid instantly, much higher per stream than on Spotify or equivalent. You can receive tips for it. You can verify every single transactions. And this is happening now. And this is based on blockchain technology. I'm talking specifically about a company called Musicoin. And I encourage people to use it because it's free to use. It's free for people to listen to. So I'm like, and people are like, should I use it? I'm like, it's free. It's like, come on, are you kidding me? And just try. And actually, I highly encourage people to put their songs on Musicoin and other platforms, and then compare. See how many streams did you have? How much money did you make? End of story. Done.
So where can viewers and musicians go to learn more about this Musicoin? Is it musicoin.org? Musicoin.org.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I discovered the platform 6 months ago. I tried it. And for 700 streams, I had like the equivalent of $40 in my wallet. I was like, whoa. So I went deeper in the story. I discovered the founder and how he combined stuff together to make this happen. And I really like that.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Musicoin.org. You got to check it out. Pascal, talk about your video game. I understand that Musicoin is also involved in this as well.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, once again, as I said before, I love to combine the different things I study. So I got more into computer science the past year. So I learned a bunch of stuff, and making video games is a simple way to apply whatever you learned, basically, right? So, but the thing is, at the same time, I was getting involved with Musicoin. And I was like, wait a second, of course I'm going to put some music in my video game, right? So what I did is I made sure that anybody could play my video game on a computer. So anybody can play the game at educationalgaming.org. It's just a website. So great, I have my video game on this browser, but what I did is actually take the music player of Musicoin that I added to this browser page and on autoplay, and I hid the music player, which means that any time that somebody presses the play or load the page, that triggers a stream, that triggers a payment for me in cryptocurrency right away.
Wow, genius.
So that's why I was like, hey, this is a proof of concept that you can actually use Musicoin to monetize anything that you have online. Just you can monetize a website, or even like artists, visual artists, they can put their like whatever drawings or whatever on the web page, put a Musicoin player, create an account on Musicoin, and put some of their music or friends' music. And when people visit that, they see the stuff, they hear some music, the person is paid each time the page is loaded. It's great.
You're a multi-platinum music producer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about being a music producer?
It is realizing an artist's dream, because basically most of the time a songwriter is going to come to me and they have ideas in their head of the final song basically, but they just have no idea how to create that in reality. This is when I talk to them, I read them, but usually after 10 minutes I know.
Wow.
And that's it.
There's some magic going on over there.
Oh yeah, it's just really reading people.
Sure.
And yeah, if you're able to read people, you're pretty much able to provide them what they want. And that's how, like a few hours later, they leave and they're happy.
You're gonna have to show me some of those secrets.
Yeah, but it's just like, actually it's more like working with a lot of people around the world and, you know, getting used to people. That's it.
How often do you write songs?
It's really random, because to me it's not writing songs, it's just being creative. So if I'm in the flow state, the creative state, one day it can be more about coding something new. Like automating something. I automated tons of my social media reporting this week, for example, for some of my clients, but it can be through a video game. So, and the next day it can be a song, and the next day it can be a cooking recipe called the deconstructed sushi. So for me, it's creation, but it doesn't need to be a song. So when you're creative, you're creative. It can take a lot of your life, because when you're so creative, it's just like inspired. It's just like constantly going on in there. That's it. But I sleep really well, though.
That's important. Okay, so what comes first when you're producing music? Drums, bass, keyboards? What's your workflow?
I think it's a weird question, because when you're inspired, it just comes to you. So it's almost like, when I hear this question, it's almost like somebody who is not creative trying to do something. So they push themselves, or like, oh, I need a template, I'm going to do drums, and then that. No, if you're inspired, you hear it in your head, and then you translate that to the computer. You know what I mean? So it can be a noise, it can be whatever. It can be somebody making happy noise when they taste good chocolates. It can be anything, you know?
Great answer. What kind of music do you listen to for fun?
I don't.
What?
Silence.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's what I said to the Uber driver. No AC and silence.
Wow, this is good to know. So
No, well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's true. It's true because when you spend so much time, so many years doing it, silence is priceless. You know, I remember going to the desert with some friends. I was amazed by the silence. It's so nice.
Wow.
You know. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
We resonate on that. I know
Yeah.
what you mean. I can feel you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice can you give to young artists and producers?
I would say the same thing as actually I said before. It's like making sure that you are more than good at what you do and then communicating about it. You know, because the problem is that most people that I meet who want to do music, who are in music, they're actually not that educated about what they want to do. So that scares me. I'm like, it's crazy to me. You know, but if you want to do something, well, obviously you should be passionate about it, but that also means that you're going to have to practice. You're going to have to be good at it. But you know, we are in a society of instant gratification. Yep. So that's a real problem because people don't want to do the work, basically. And you know, you don't build a career on nothing. I mean, there's a lot of scams out there nowadays that people who manage to build a career on just confidence, I don't really, you know, I'm not really into that. I don't really understand how they can be happy with themselves inside. No, to me, you need to have depth. You need to be like an expert, and then I'm interested in talking to you and discussing with you that because it gets interesting, you know.
Wow. Pascal, as a kid, what did you get in trouble the most for?
Oh, destroying my Lego boxes.
Your Lego boxes?
Yes, because I was playing drums on them.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be and why?
I would be a bonsai because they're very zen.
How lucky are you and why?
I'm not. I mean, I can say that. It's all about cycle to me. So, like anything, you know, there's like bad times and good times. People see the plaques and the awards and like they're like, you know, pretty impressed most of the time. I'm like, you have no idea how many things failed constantly every day. It's just unbelievable. But if you're okay with failure, well, you know, at some point you're gonna catch some. But, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, being lucky is just. I think it's not a real thing. It's just cycles, and that's all. Yeah.
How would people communicate in a perfect world?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, nowadays, it's a very interesting question because nowadays I'm really blown away by the lack of communication skills that people have. Like the way they approach people on Twitter. I mean, or on social media in general. Yeah. I'm blown away. Like, people don't know how to introduce themselves. They don't know how just to say hi, to be like polite or stuff. That's a big deal to me. If you're not able to do that, you're not going to be able to interact with high-profile people. That means you are very limited in your career, you know. And I see that constantly on social media every day. And most of the time I don't answer because I'm like, I don't think I have, you know, we're not going to get it wrong. There's no point.
I agree.
So, that's it.
What's the weirdest Halloween costume for you?
Myself. I never get dressed. I don't care. I like to watch. It's funny.
Isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Celebrity crush?
Halle Berry.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What are your phobias?
I can sometimes feel if I'm really high, maybe a slight lack of height, slightly. But I just noticed it recently for like hikes. We were really, really high. So yeah, I'm not sure. Besides that, I'm not really sure.
Would you jump off a plane?
I like to be curious and take risks, but not risks that are too stupid. I think it's still pretty regular activity. I would probably do it, yeah. Yeah.
Favorite song on the piano?
Oh, Ravel, Tombeau de Couperin.
I'd have to hear that sometime.
I mean, just so people know, Ravel is one of the most famous French composers, early 20th century, and he was a master at orchestration and composing. And when you produce orchestration is a big deal. Nobody talks about it anymore. Orchestration is really the art of putting the right sounds and melodies, all that together. And it's really rare to hear stuff that has this kind of quality nowadays. But Ravel was a master at that. And if you hear a piece called Daphnis and Chloe, for example, which is a big choir and orchestra piece of 1 hour, this is the most gorgeous piece I've ever heard in my life. And when you listen to that and you go back to listening to current music, you're like, whoa, what happened? It's like, it sucks. Yeah.
If you could make a record with anyone, who would it be?
Right now, so obviously I fulfilled a lot of dreams, but since I like, soulful stuff, Erykah Badu would be one of my top. But I think my biggest dream was fulfilled working with Cuban people, because we were actually staying and playing with people who represent the religious music in Cuba. So that's deep stuff, It's much more interesting to me than working with any famous pop name. There's no question. But yeah, people like Erykah Badu, because she's in the pop culture, but that's the truth. It's so rare nowadays to deal with people who are just like the truth, and you take that in your face, and that's what you have.
Describe the color yellow to someone who's blind.
That's a stupid question. Oh no, I know what I would say. When you eat a banana, well, that's kind of yellow outside.
All right.
That's not described, but hey, it's funny.
Favorite work of art?
You mean like art piece?
Sure.
I would say once again, if you put music into it, I would say Daphnis and Chloe by Ravel.
What's your favorite board game?
It's not that funny, yeah. I don't think I'm a big fan of board game.
What's funny for you?
Messing with people's mind one-on-one, on like playing ping pong or tennis.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yes, because most people, they give up so quickly. And I love, because very often I'm losing and I come back all the time because I play for the pleasure of playing. And just, kind of messing with the person in front of you is just like really enjoyable.
You play tennis and ping pong. How long have you been playing both?
Oh, I play decently, but nothing really good. Since I'm a kid, a regular activity.
What's the weirdest music making tip that you can give to us?
Go to the restroom before starting to produce. I'm serious. It's actually something that happened again and again and again. If I meet somebody for the first time here, they come here, we talk for 10 minutes, then I got them, I go to the restroom, do whatever I have to do, and I hear something in my head. I come back here, put it in the computer, 30 minutes later, it's usually finished. Done. And the idea is there. That's it.
Dude, I'm doing that from here on out.
But I don't know, it's different for everybody. It's just something that when I go in the bathroom or whatever, it's just, I download some stuff from I don't know where. So that's it.
I wonder what you're doing in the restroom.
I don't know.
You were an early user of MySpace. You've built a successful, massive following on Twitter, and you're an early adopter of the blockchain technology. What's next?
More computer science for me, but specifically combining computer science with my knowledge in finance and music and other things, and visual and gaming and teaching people at the same time. So that's really what I want to do. It's combine all that so that everybody's happy. It's interesting for everybody. So, I did a basic game in 2D. It's a basic Atari thing, nothing crazy about it. But there's some features that are unique because it's combined to blockchain. I'm getting paid instantly when people play the game, they hear my music, all that good stuff. So I will keep building on top of it. But obviously, I would certainly start to build more things in like 3D. I just started to mess a tiny bit with Unity. So we'll see. There's the different areas I want to study next are definitely more like 3D gaming, AI, which I want to use both for my finance activities and different things, and studying blockchain technology as well. I would love to be able to help the different companies I work with, like Musicoin or even Hyperloop transportation technologies, more on these sides. I just need to keep educating myself, and then hopefully I will be able to contribute more on the technical side as well. That's definitely my goal. The interesting things that people I think would like to know is that YouTube and Twitter are one of the main things you want to use to get indexed by Google. So when you create content or whatever, you need to make sure that it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube, that kind of stuff. So if you Google my name, you'll find YouTube videos and Twitter right away, actually.
So what's the biggest misconception about Cuba?
Well, I think the one thing that people know about Cuba is its music and a bunch of other stuff, but music is a big deal. And the funny thing is, you know, people see it as a very happy, simple thing that you can enjoy. It's like, oh, party, whatever. The depth of that music is unbelievable because it's a heritage of African music, European harmony, mixed with jazz, and even mixed in the way they mix songs, very influenced by bands like Earth, Wind & Fire, or R&B, and or modern American music as well. So there's a lot going on. It's very rich in creating that kind of music. But then the beauty about it is that people who don't know anything about music think it's simple, they're just partying and enjoying it and that's it. But I can tell you that the knowledge and the level of quality of the musicians there is like nothing I've ever seen. Nothing. I remember going to a rehearsal one day of one of the top music director of Cuba, and it's like I would have like taken a plane in the face. And I was highly educated about music at that time already, but that was so intense that to me I was like, holy cow! I've never seen that ever, you know. So and I got mentored by top jazz players like from different parts of the world. But there's something there that is like, it's like something brewing there that is unbelievable. Yeah.
You're a multi-platinum music producer. Talk to us about the collaboration with Anthony Hamilton.
So my second week in the United States, in Los Angeles, I was working with Walter A. in Westlake Studios, and Chris Ivory, music executive, introduced me to Heavy D, the hip-hop legend, producer, rapper. The funny thing is that I barely knew who he was at the time. But we took an afternoon and we made 2 tracks together. And I left for France a few weeks later. And then I got a call saying that what we did was placed to Anthony Hamilton. For a French countryside guy, that was a pretty big deal. And it's a very classy artist. I mean, you know, in the pop world nowadays, you can get placements with like very famous pop artists. There's a lot to me who I wouldn't even be that proud to have tracks with them because music-wise, they're not very interesting to me. But artists like Anthony Hamilton, who really represent some music style that have like really just quality music-wise, you know. And, you know, very, very happy about it and, you know, very proud of it too, for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Pascal, talk about this for a minute. Upcoming producers who've got their game going on, they got their tracks, how can they start placing music with artists on TV and film?
So it's going to be interesting as well because when I do conferences, speaking gigs about this topic, usually I push artists to think different. Because it's always the same story, you know, people create tracks and they're like, oh, I'm gonna talk to a manager, I'm gonna talk to a publisher or whatever, and you know, to place the thing. And I'm like, no. Why? Because you have another 100,000 people doing the same thing. So why would you do the same thing as another 100,000 people? There's no point to me. I want to be the only one doing something in a different circle. So to me, I'm like, I get out of this circle, this is not possible. There's too many people doing the same things, and the music is not even selected on quality. It's just whatever and politics. So to me, I'm like, no, let me get out of this circle. I'm still gonna make music, but I'm gonna change circle. For example, I can be around like great entrepreneurs doing amazing things and be their one music guy. And that's it. And if you have good social skills and you understand technology, you're able to understand and interact with these people, you can end up having some of these people helping you and dragging you business, and you don't have to fight with the other tons of people doing the same thing as you, because you are in a circle where you're the one, you're like the go-to guy, basically. You know?
Wow.
That's how I do it, and that's how, I bypassed managers, publishers. That's how I got with the biggest name in music my first 2 weeks in LA, And
Wow.
people are like, how did you do that? I'm like, well, not through music people.
And Pascal, you also have an online group that helps, and you're doing mentoring for artists and producers. Where can we go to learn more about that?
PascalGuyon.org, just my website. You'll find it easily online. There's a free mentoring program for music artists. There's also a bunch of other conferences that are listed there that you can purchase for like peanuts. The sad thing is most music artists do not have a business mind and are not really doing the job to constantly to learn constantly. So my free mentoring, it's completely free, and I have all the infos of everything I did, all the strategies is there. There's probably less than 3% of the people who sign up for it who actually use it. It's always like that. But more globally, actually, it's very well known that when people are signing up for things they want to learn, they actually never open the thing, even if they paid for it. It's just known. It's just the way it is.
Sure.
It's just people, you know?
Yep.
So I'm just saying that, if somebody wants to actually learn something and do something about really improving their career, everything is there for free. So it's up to them to grab them, that's it.
Thanks so much for your inspiration and a great conversation today. And you got to check him out at pascalguyon.org. This is Philip at VisionQuestSound, and we'll see you soon. Awesome.